Hello, everyone. Please take your seats. The show will be starting soon. All of you in the lunchroom. Valeria, bring it in. All right. Want to make sure all of our speakers are in place. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to let everyone trickle in, take a seat. Please, we are about to get started. Thank you. So, hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome everybody to the 10th Annual Women Entrepreneurship Week event. So my name is Liz Rich, and I am the director of the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation here at Montclair State University. And first off, I just want to say we are so grateful that all of you are here with us today. Despite all of the sadness and grief and chaos and things that are happening in the world around us today, we just really want, our intention today is to create a space for celebration and love and respite for all of you for the next couple of hours. So thank you so much for being here. Yes. So today's conversation will revolve around envisioning the third way. And this is something we've been talking about in different pockets of conversation. So I'm really excited. I think it's resonating. But as women, we have to envision our third way as women entrepreneurs and leaders. And so this theme was directly inspired by last year's keynote speaker, Tiffany Aliche. She's an MSU alum, a lovely person. And so she was the one who really brought up this notion of finding your third way. So as we were thinking about the theme for today, we wanted something inspirational, but also reflective of how far we've come over the last 10 years. But as I was looking back at the conversations we were having in 2014 at our first conference, our first Women Entrepreneurship Week event, there are a couple things that we're still talking about 10 years later. So the first of them being how to succeed as a woman in entrepreneurship, right? It's not for the faint of heart. And we have so many other things that we need to think about, right? We have very multitudinous lives, right? So how do we include all of that in our entrepreneurial endeavors? It's a lot to take on. So how do we become experts at that? And also funding. How do we get access to more money for our businesses, for our ideas, our dreams? So I bring this up because we're going to talk about those things again today. We're just going to keep talking about them. But I do want to give you an invitation to ask yourself today, throughout the day, what can I do or what can we do collectively to really think about this differently and translate all of the knowledge that we're gathering here today into actionable steps. And personally, for me, I think it starts with conversation. And I was just talking to Mimi about this. We have to get together. We have to come together in conversation and community. It is so important. And so I think that, personally, nothing beats women coming together and supporting each other. And so by coming together today to understand each other's experiences and journeys and challenges, we are one step closer to finding our third way. And so this third way, let's think about, this is not a set formula. It's not something that has been dictated to us by others. It's not something that has existed before and we just need to follow that path, right? Our third way is special to us based on who we are, what we bring to the table, and all the special gifts that we have, right? As women, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, embrace that. And I think, today I really want you guys to take the opportunity to explore what your third way looks like and to support each other in finding theirs as well. So that's the assignment. So we are thankful for all of you who joined us here today in person, and for the hundreds of you on the live stream, thank you for being here. I just want to take a quick moment before we begin to thank our amazing lineup of speakers. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We're so lucky to have you with us. And also, I want to thank our sponsors, without whom today would not be happening. So our envisioning sponsor, Cross River Bank, our empowering sponsors, the NJEDA and Blue Foundry Bank, and our supporting sponsors, Next Gen Event Company, Witham, and Erdahl Employment Law. I also want to thank Jones Road for donating those amazing gift bags at our networking luncheon. Yay! And Cornerstone Montclair, Gift Bar and Howell for donating gifts for the giveaway prize. If you've not signed up for that giveaway prize, make sure you get your ticket. We have over $250 worth of gifts in that giveaway prize, and the winner must be present at the end of the event to win. So you're staying the whole time. Okay. And lastly, I do want to thank our amazing team that worked really hard today to bring this event to life. Yes, big round of applause. So I want to thank Valeria Alloway, Dana Nares, Lori Robotham, Brenda Wilson, and Brianna Gunter. And I want to thank the dream team over here to my left. Ryan, Zach, Will, Anthony from the events team. Thank you so much for all your tech knowledge. And so lastly, we want to invite you to join us at the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation as we continuously pivot to imagine and create places and spaces and opportunities to celebrate all of you all year long. So that is our commitment to you, and we will continue to do that. So without further ado, I am honored to introduce our next speaker, Mimi Feliciano. She is the CEO and founder of FEM Real Estate, the benefactor and board member of the Feliciano School of Business and the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and chairwoman of the Global Center on Human Trafficking. Mimi started Women Entrepreneurship Week 10 years ago, and we would not be sitting here today if it were not for her and her generous support and her truly visionary aspiration for this event. So thank you so much, Mimi.
Well, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. I can't believe it's 10 years later. This idea of having something to support women entrepreneurs was incubated 10 years ago, and I'm honored to say we have Dennis Bone, our founding director, and Sharon, where are you, his program director, who actually started the first one. It was their ideas and to bring this to life, and 10 years later, they're here with us celebrating. And we have some, milestones. We've had much success over the past 10 years. We've had partnered with over 275 colleges and universities from all 50 states and 45 countries around the world. We have welcomed over 7,500 students in person and virtually to this event. And we have learned the experiences from the journeys of over 160 amazing speakers and entrepreneurs. And we have some with us today. So this is a real milestone for us. I'm very proud of that. And I'm excited about the future. Entrepreneurship is such a lonely journey. And there's such a need, as Liz was saying, for connectivity and community. And we have a lot of resources here. We're here for you. That was the vision from the beginning, to support entrepreneurs. And I think even now more than ever, because of the pandemic, it was just especially lonely for a few years. So the opportunity to share with each other and hear each other's stories and give each other support is a real blessing. And I'm grateful to support all of you in that journey. And we have, before we go, we'd like to share a quick video of other universities around the world partnering with us and celebrating today.
Hi, everyone. We are the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation here at Montclair State University. Thank you for celebrating the 10th anniversary of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
Hi, we are from the Weinert Center for Entrepreneurship Entrepreneurship at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
We are so excited to be participating in the 10th anniversary celebration of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
Go Badgers!
Hi everyone, we are from Development Department at RIT Kosovo AUK. We're so excited to be celebrating the 10th anniversary of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
We are from the New Jersey Small Business Development Center at Brookdale Community College. We are so excited to be participating in the 10th anniversary celebration of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
We're Rowan University, and we're excited to celebrate Women's Entrepreneurship Week.
At UNCW, we are committed to celebrating women entrepreneurs in our community.
En el Centro de Innovación y Emprendimientos trabajamos en empoderar mujeres desarrollando su actitud emprendedora. Fuimos pioneros en poner foco en el empoderamiento femenino porque entendemos que la mujer no solamente beneficia el ecosistema emprendedor de forma individual, sino que aparte forma parte de una comunidad.
Hi, we're from the McCall School of Business at Queen's University in Charlotte.
Hi, we're from the Center for Entrepreneurship at Ohio University.
We are so excited to be celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Women's Entrepreneurship Week.
Thanks for celebrating with us.
Here at the Alabama Entrepreneurship Institute at the University of Alabama, we are committed to celebrating women entrepreneurs.
Hello! Join Berkeley College on Wednesday, October 18th for National Women's Entrepreneurship Week 2023.
Hi, we're from the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization at UCRGD. We are committed to celebrating women entrepreneurs in our community at VIP Idea Lab.
At the M&T Bank Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Quinnipiac University, we are committed to celebrating women entrepreneurs in our community.
Hi, we're from the Cruz Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Memphis.
We are so excited to be celebrating the 10th anniversary celebration of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
Thank you for celebrating with us.
Thank you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of Women Entrepreneurship Week.
Thank you for joining us as we celebrate the 10th anniversary Women Entrepreneurship Week. Peace out!
That was great. What an inspiration.
All right. So that video was amazing. And again, a big thanks to Sharon. I know she's going to kill me for doing this, but you got this going. So let's give a round of applause to Sharon. Okay, so I want to just again thank you, Mimi, for your continued support and leadership here at Montclair State University. And then I'm going to now just take a minute to introduce our first keynote speaker, Cindy Spiegel. So Cindy is an inspirational speaker, facilitator, and a true force of nature who rallies audiences to refine their mindsets for good. As an igniter of powerful conversations about self-exploration, hope, and authenticity, she is also the best-selling author of 2 books, Micro Joys, Finding Hope Especially When Life Is Not Okay, which you all should have received in your swag bag, and A Year of Positive Thinking, Daily Inspiration, Wisdom, and Courage, which sold nearly 300,000 copies and has been translated into multiple languages. In addition, she is the former adjunct professor at Parsons School of Design and Fashion Institute of Technology, and she holds her master's in professional studies. Her work has been featured in many publications, including Entrepreneur, Time, The Today Show, Forbes, Self, The Huffington Post, and Glamour. So please, let's join me in giving a warm welcome to Cindy Spiegel. Thank you so much, Cindy. What a micro joy that was. Sorry. So up next, we have an amazing fireside chat featuring Adriana Carrig and Amy Agbana. Okay, we're on. And so Adriana is the founder and CEO of Little Words Project. Bullied from a young age, Adriana made bracelets to help herself through difficult times. While in college, she made them for her sorority to help build community and encouragement. It didn't take long for her to realize that this simple product could become a vehicle of kindness and self-love for the masses. And so all of you should have also received one of Adriana's Little Words Project bracelets. So since 2013, this company has grown from her parents' basement. Please take note, all you students. This company started in her parents' basement. And it has become an influential and community-first lifestyle brand. Today, her company has over 100,000 direct online customers, 750 wholesale accounts, and she has opened retail locations on Bleecker Street and Nolita in Manhattan, Pure Village in Long Branch, Boston, Georgetown, San Francisco, and Miami. Pretty impressive, yes. So joining her, Amy is the Vice President of Brand Experience at Little Words Project, where she oversees partnerships, philanthropy, and brand activations. When she is not spreading kindness through jewelry, Amy sits on the board of Herself Co., a nonprofit organization on a mission to create a thriving community of supportive young women through its confidence curriculum and programming. So please join me in welcoming Adriana and Amy to the stage.
Yeah, I don't really. Oh, it's on? Oh. Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you? Yay. So excited to be here. Thank you for having us. I'm a jinx. What Liz didn't share is that Amy and I are also best friends from college. We were college roommates our sophomore year. Fast forward, then became sorority sisters, and she's been my biggest support system through the last decade of owning this business. And we were just recently able to bring her into the fold as a VP on our team, and I couldn't be more grateful to have her, and just to be able to facilitate this kind of conversation with her specifically, since she's seen it all with me, and how this business came to life from the basement to Bleecker, as we sometimes like to say.
I love that. Thank you for that introduction, Adriana. I do want to say it has been amazing to watch your journey from the beginning, and I can't wait to get into some of your origin story with the audience and really get into what it was like starting then and to being where you are now. And I think you have so much amazing experience, advice to just give to everybody here. Young, old, just starting out, been in your business for 10 plus years. I think you can really learn a lot from Adriana and her story.
Thank you.
So to get into it, all right, so what initially inspired and motivated you to start Little Words Project 10 years ago?
So as you heard, I started Little Words Project out of my parents' basement because I had dealt with a lot of negativity from others. And it was primarily other women, other girls. I grew up bullied my entire life. I can honestly remember an instance as early as kindergarten all the way then continuing through college. Every single year there was something that happened that had me questioning who I was or what I believed about myself. When I saw it continue into college, I realized this is potentially a female problem more than anything else. Okay, here's where the fun thing is. So I'm just going to do one of these. I tend to look around a lot. I recognized that this was really more of a female problem than anything else, and I really wanted to create something that was going to help eradicate that for women everywhere. Once I started thinking about what I could create, and I realized something as simple as one of these little beaded bracelets was the answer, I kind of just started making a batch of them. I brought them to my college sorority, and we started passing them amongst ourselves. And that was the concept. Wear your word for as long as you need it, and then pass it on to someone who needs it more. It took off. The girls, as you remember, being a part of that group, really loved them. And it became this symbol of sisterhood for us, more so than our own letter shirts. And when I graduated and saw that that was still a very real reality for the chapter, and I had long been gone, I thought to myself, why couldn't this be something that we bring to the masses? So enter the little word. At the time in college, they were called Warm Fuzzies. Luckily, that was trademarked already. I couldn't name my whole company the Warm Fuzzy Project, but I almost did. So that worked out perfectly. And we started the Concept of Little Words Project. It was when I had one of those like aha moments, like when you think about entrepreneurship and you think like, oh, I had a great idea, and you wake up in the middle of the night. Like it really was that. When I thought of adding this unique identifier code to every bracelet. So if you look at the bracelet you have, each one has this little gold tag on it that has our logo. And on the back, it has a code that is unique to that bracelet. That code is used to connect your bracelet to our website, where you put in your story, why you chose that word, and then when the time comes for you to eventually pass it on to someone who needs it more, if you meet someone who needs it more, it's a very real possibility that you need to keep it forever, and that's okay. You connect your bracelet, you encourage the next person to do the same, and you can actually track and see where they go. And it was that piece that felt like the X factor that could take this from a college dorm room idea into a real business that could affect actual change. So that's kind of the long-winded version, but it is why we started the brand, and it's what has that common thread of trying to inspire kindness and self-love has been the thread that has been woven through this brand for the past decade, which this November will be 10 years.
Amazing. 10 years in business.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, so it's crazy to think that you've been in business for over a decade, but if you think back to that aha moment, and for budding entrepreneurs, what was one of the first things you did on the business side? Like get your trademark, what was your first thing to do to make it real?
The first thing I did was, I started engaging people in my community. I always say that I got the business on sale, because I found girls from other sororities who were kind and helpful, and just friends from college who, one was starting a website developing business, and I'm pretty sure I was the first and only website she ever did, because it was traumatizing. To start and build a website is hard, and much less to please a client and all that stuff. That's also a mutual friend of ours. So I found her. I found another friend of mine who was a videographer, and he created a video reel for me that I knew we needed this like extra piece of marketing. So I just kind of started going at it and hiring and asking everyone that I could for help, and not being afraid of doing so. One of the main business things I found like a USPTO like trademark lawyer to help me figure out how I could get the name trademarked and so on and so forth. Again, this is at which point I found out Warm Fuzzies was not available. Thank you, Lord. And my husband, my then boyfriend, now husband, and COO, who joined us 2 years ago in that capacity, was actually the person who named it. He said, what about little words? And I was like, great, and we'll add project, because it inspires movement, and that insinuates movement. And he's still to this day fighting me that it should just be little words, but I digress. So that's, it's kind of, I'm really a big fan of like just starting, just kind of start somewhere and put one foot in front of the next, and things start to develop in front of you.
And the asking for help piece kind of goes to what Sydney was saying. Exactly. Ask people for help, and they want to help.
They want to help.
And I think that's such a testament to that, because look at where you are now.
Absolutely.
So I think if you look at your journey, can you identify one of the biggest challenges that you had, and specifically with funding and financing your business? I think that's so huge nowadays.
Yeah, and I think it really speaks to what we're saying, is the theme of the day, and finding that third way. It's something that I really pride ourselves on, is that we were completely self-funded for the past 10 years. It wasn't until this February that we accepted our first round of funding. We did our first, small Series A. And it was simply because we found someone that felt like family, that we wanted to be a part of this, and that we felt could bring new insights that we don't have the skill set in. And, the bigger you get, the more risk you take on when you don't have outside funding. But it was bootstrapped, full-on, self-sustained for 10 full years. And my advice to anyone who is starting their own business or feels like they're in this roadblock
of I can't do this because I don't have money, or I can't get it funded, or how am I supposed to put all my money back into it over time? I hope I can be an example of it is possible. You just have to be creative accounting, as I like to call it. You have to be able to move the pieces around. And, I mean, I was doing back of the envelope math for like as recently as 5 years ago, where it was July, which is a slow period in consumer goods. It was July, and I'm like, okay, I know I have this much coming in, this much going out. And I'm not a math girl. I was an English major in college, and I literally chose English because I didn't want to take a math class. And then joke's on me, 10 years, 2 years later, I launch a business where it's like all about money and math. But again, I digress. So, I think it's just a matter of like knowing that you have a good product, trusting that you have a good product, putting it out there, and allowing the people to come, allowing the people to purchase what you're selling, and taking that money, being intentional about it, squirreling some away, and reinvesting whenever possible. And through doing that on a $25 retail product, we were able to sustain business growth through the last decade. And to share, because we're all friends here and all entrepreneurs, I think it's helpful in hearing kind of the growth trajectory that we were able to accomplish on just that alone. We, before ever accepting any outside funding, took the brand from nothing to $20 million in revenue, again, on the back of a $25 product. And we're on pace to continue to double that as we have year over year since starting. So it's possible. It's just, you got to be creative. You got to believe that it's possible, because that is half the battle. And it's definitely a third way, because you don't hear about that. You don't hear about us like non-sexy people that are trying to figure it out with like our boots on and feet to the pavement, as much as you hear about those sexy brands that get that funding,
Series A, B, C.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I feel like some of the biggest brands that we all look at are getting outside funding, or VC capital. Yeah, and I think that people don't understand that you can do it.
You can do it, and it makes you feel. Speaking from my experience, as especially a woman, as a woman of color, I grew up feeling very like afraid of a boardroom as a concept. And like I always had this vision, if I was going to go get funding, I would be like walking into a room of a bunch of men. And that wasn't necessarily not the case 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, I could visualize people laughing me out of boardrooms. So I was like, I'm not even going to go that route. I'm going to do it my own. And luckily I was able to, and fast forward, every single VC conversation that we had this past year was completely reverse inquiry. I did not knock on anyone's door. They all came knocking on mine. And I think that has a lot to do, like I said, with that belief, that trust. And then being 10 years in and having done it, now it's like, oh my gosh, she did that. Now I want to invest. I don't even have to hear your pitch. And so that was a blessing, but also
that was going to be my next question. Like, did they all come in?
Yeah,
so I think that's also the thing. If you believe in your product enough, if you keep pushing it, eventually you'll get those opportunities.
And reinvesting in it, and of course, leveraging where you can that outside help. There are other ways to get capital, whether it be applying for grants, whether it be asking family and friends. It doesn't have to be like this random boardroom. It can be the people in your community. Or it could even be just your own customers. There's incredible things like Kickstarter and ways that you can help get your brand off the floor. That especially if it's like tech or something that you really do need a lot of capital to create. I was lucky enough to be able to go to Michael's, purchase the materials, and start beating a bracelet in my parents' basement. So, and that was intentional. I knew it was something I could make. I knew I could make it for not very much, and I knew with the marketing I could sell it for a good margin that could help me then reinvest. So your pricing matters. I learned that the hard way through the many years of having to reassess. But yeah, we were very lucky to have been able to have that third way, but to also believe in that third way, because that really is half the battle.
Yeah. So thinking about the third way, were there ever moments during your journey, probably early on, even now, that you doubted yourself and you had to understand that there was a larger purpose and that you were doing something a little bit differently, and it's going to be okay that way?
Today, yesterday, every day since I started, I've had doubt. I think doubt can either stop you or fuel you. And I think every time I doubt myself, I also want to kick myself at the same time, because I'm like, no, like you can doubt yourself, but you got to keep going anyway, and believe believing in yourself doesn't mean you do it blindly. You can have those moments of self-doubt as long as you pull yourself back in. Remember, it is possible. You've done it before. Think of the times you've doubted yourself and you still accomplished. And I let my past fuel my future in that way. But yeah, I doubt myself every day. I think the hardest part of this job is managing people. I always say that. You know, I started out to be an entrepreneur, not a manager. And having a team has been the hardest part of this journey, and keeping them happy is what keeps me up at night. Because, you know, I can come up with new ideas and be an entrepreneur and a trailblazer all day long, but to be a good leader that makes people want to follow you and want to work 24/7 as is required in a startup environment, no matter how mid-sized we might be now, it's still very startup energy, because fast growth equals startup energy. Yeah, it's hard, and I doubt myself regularly, but I try to look at what we have accomplished, and I try to look at the stories of the community, the people that have told me outright how much they love this product and how much it's gotten them through. And that propels me forward always.
I love that. And so thinking about that and how difficult it is to manage people and a business in your personal life, how has your management of your own mental health been affected throughout your entrepreneurship journey? And like what tools, if any, do you use to monitor that?
Yeah. Mental health, man, I don't know. I just try to put one foot in front of the next. And I'm not one of these, like I wish, and Cindy, I'll have to talk to you later about meditation, because I wish I could be one of those, like, wake up in the morning and like drink my lemon water and have my 10 minutes of meditation and my journaling. Like I want that. I also have two very little boys. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. So that makes life a little difficult, way harder than it was before then. But I would argue that it's forced balance a little bit more so, where previously I was running myself to the bone. I was burning the candle at both ends. I ended up having a bout with infertility to conceive my first. And, you know, I don't blame myself, but I don't not blame the work and how much I did not take care of myself. Fast forward 2 years, I then got pregnant naturally out of the clear blue sky. And I think that has a little bit to do with just, you know, how when you're not so stressed and thinking about something and, you know, willing it, it sometimes can happen for you. So I learned a lot through that journey to motherhood, and most of which was the importance of striking a balance even when you don't want to. Because sometimes all I want to do is finish working. All I want to do is whip out my laptop and answer the email. But I have to stop. I have to spend time with my kids. And I want to, because ultimately, yes, what I'm doing is for them, but it's also, you know, I want them to have memories of their mom playing with them and being really present. So forced balance, I think, has been helpful for me. That and, you know, Lexapro. Sorry to bully myself here, taking from Cindy.
No, there's no shame in medication.
No shame in my game on that. You know, if you need it, you need it, and it may not be forever. Maybe it's for a season, or maybe it's forever. And all I know is it's definitely helped me kind of understand. It's almost been like, you know, putting on a pair of glasses and seeing things a little more clearly. And it's helped me navigate some of those difficult times. And over time too, like managing my diet, being intentional about what I'm putting in my body, the gut-mind connection, all that stuff. I went down a goop rabbit hole like during fertility journey, and learned a lot. So I'm really proud of where I've come with that. And, you know, I will hopefully start prioritizing meditation as well. That's the goal. Goal for 2024.
I know, I love that. And I think that, you know, everybody's form of meditation can be different.
Yeah,
and
totally.
So, okay, hopefully you find that. And so like switching gears a little bit, because I know that some of the audience might not know that you are also the founder of a nonprofit called Herself Co that we're on the board of together. We really are best friends.
We really do a lot together.
We do this together.
It's a little weird.
But what has that been like in addition to running your business? What inspired you to get into the nonprofit sector, probably some of your past, and then how do you manage both?
Yeah. Hard. It's hard. You know, I was inspired to get into it because, you know, this whole concept was, like I said, it was born of a desire to really do something positive to my world, and hopefully that would result in a ripple effect of, you know, which is what passing it on is, right? This pay it forward concept is you pay it forward to not just one person, but how does that person pay it forward, so on and so forth, that hopefully we touch as many people as possible through our product. But there's this nonprofit energy that I was still yearning for, where I just gave more. And that's where Herself Co came into play. I really wanted to create something that, with the help of obviously our board would provide young women with the tools that they need to get through life's difficulties on their own herself. Because having been a young woman growing up, especially in the collegiate sector, it's all about academia and what are you going to be when you grow up, and so on and so forth. But it's very little focused, at least in my experience, on you and how you're going to navigate difficulty, and in teaching you the importance of believing in yourself, and in the concept of querer es poder, which my mother always said to me as a Mexican American, or as a Mexican woman to me. If you want it, you can achieve it. And I didn't feel like I got that anywhere else outside of the home. And I wanted to create something that could bring that to women, young women specifically, in the real world. So that was the inspiration. And then how I manage it, it's really hard. You keep me honest, honestly, because on any given day, like I could have a whole plan for the day, and then someone gives their notice and they're going off to another opportunity. And now my day is shot. I'm spending the whole day figuring out, okay, how do I fill this hole? Or someone has to be let go, which also happens. Or we get this opportunity to go set up a pop-up at Disney Springs in a 3-week turnaround. We have to navigate finding a truck to make it happen. Getting a permit. Like I'm at the DMV. It's just a totally different. Every day is something new. So it is hard to navigate the two things, but I'm very lucky to, again, have an amazing team, both at Little Words Project and at Herself Co. And not only is that team good at what they do, but they offer a lot of grace. And I think having that grace, not only for yourself, but from without, is really incredible too. So the people you surround yourself with really makes a big difference in your mental health and just the overall happiness of your journey, frankly.
So I want to ask you 2 questions. I think we've gotten a decent idea of your journey, but if you could share the most difficult part of your entrepreneurship journey, and then one of the most rewarding parts of your entrepreneurship journey, I think would be great.
I think it's been difficult being a woman in the entrepreneurship world. Throughout the journey, I think it's that paired with my product, which I adore, and so does everybody else, including Taylor Swift. Exactly. Period. In fact, no, let me not say it. Let me not go on record saying I think I inspired Taylor, but that's besides the point. No, I think for a long time I felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill because even when I first launched it, we had mutual friends who had said to me, like, "Are you sure you want it to look like that? Like, are you sure you don't want them to be gold beads or gold band, like with stamped words, are you sure you want it to be this little like friendship looking bracelet?" I'm like, "No, trust me, like it's coming back. Like this is the look, this is it." It was very hard to convince people of this look. And I know you guys all laugh at that because you know that you've seen these things on Taylor and her tribe for the past 2 years specifically. And it's back, it is fully back. And it wasn't there 10 years ago. So when I was first trying to sell this product, I've had people, put their hands in my face and say, "This is not for me. Like, no, thank you." And completely shut the door. And I did feel like I had to make myself smaller. And every time I explained it, I had to be like, "Yeah, there's these little word bracelets and the meaning is blah, blah, blah." And I always felt like I had to explain it away. And I think it was the look of the product and the fact that I was this like cute little girl, and my least favorite word is cute. When people are like, "Oh, that's so cute." I'm like, "Thank you." It's also making millions, so thank you for saying that. Period. And it's like, but that's the facts, like, and people will make you feel like, "Oh, that's adorable. You're an entrepreneur," and I think as long as you can get past that, and like, if someone's making you feel like smaller than you believe yourself to be, I think the hardest lesson that I had to learn was to not let that make it true. Like I had to really break through, and I think everything that Cindy said is so true because you just have to still honor what you know to be the facts of yourself and where you came from. And the fact that I do come from, my mother is a Mexican woman who came from absolutely nothing to where she is today. I can go from that point to where I want to be. And I think I'm getting off the question, but
no, I think you like it's the uphill battle of it all.
The uphill battle has really, that's it. The hardest part has been convincing people, and even still, like we had that pop up at Disney Springs, and again, reverse inquiry. Disney came to us, which, like, if you think about, 10 years ago, that was the goal. They came to us knocking on the door, and even there, I had someone we were selling the product, and the fact that there's this whole make the friendship bracelets energy with the Taylor Swift of it all. Gave me a little fear, I'm not gonna lie, like, oh God, now is everyone gonna like start doing it and not want to buy them now at $25? And yes, there are some people who that had happened for. And there are people who still view us as the premier and want to get this version of the brand and want to have the product that, you know, to name drop, Lance Bass handed Taylor Swift on the VMA stage, okay? If you didn't see that, check out our Instagram. But the point being, we're at this event and one woman was buying she had a stack of 3, she loved them. And her friends, she starts showing her friends and her friends are like, how much are they? She goes, $25 for beads, I'll make them for you. Right in front of me. And I'm like, man, like, you think, you know, you go 10 years, you know, you're the CEO, like you're speaking on stages and people, you know, want you around them for what you have learned. And yet someone can in that 1 second humble you to a point where you're at the basement, you're in the basement, you are made to feel like you are nothing. And yet that's her perception, that's her experience, that's her opinion, and that's fair and valid. And so I had to, you know, of course I had said my little thing. I was like, okay, they're not just beads, they're my life's work. So please do not honor that, please, you know, honor that. Then they laughed and it was fine. And look, again, I get it. The woman ended up putting 2 down, but she kept 1. And I know she'll be back for more. And I think I just have to keep remembering that, keep believing in that. So yeah, the hardest part continues every day. And it's in reconciling where we are, where we came from, where we're going, and how we're perceived along the journey. But the best part, it also happens every day. And it's in those moments of she still bought 1. And there are still people who recognize the value of what we're doing and who will come to me, you know, 5 years later, having saw me at one of my first street fairs, beads in hand, saying, my bracelet broke and it's the one memory I have of my father. You know, it's the nickname he called me and it's the only piece of jewelry that matters to me. And I'm like, yes, to some people they're just beads and to other people they're absolutely everything. So I think, yeah, the whole journey has been the best and the worst all at the same time, which I think is probably true for all of our entrepreneurial journeys.
I love that. And I think, and I've also seen that. So at the same time that we had a pop-up in Disney Springs, we also had a pop-up in Los Angeles. I had the opportunity to work that this weekend. My first jump into the role.
Yeah, she's a VP, and I'm like, can you go to LA and shill these bracelets on the streets for me? Because we are strapped, like a whole team was bi-coastal for these major opportunities.
No, it was pretty cool to see right in there in that moment, people who are already coming up to the booth with a stack, people who know nothing, people who were calling us out for copying other brands.
Right.
They're like, oh, these are the knockoff XYZ. I was like, no, actually, we are the original bracelet.
They are the knockoff us.
And then also hearing people say, $25, I'll make you those.
Yeah.
Like, as their child wants like to buy like a whole stack of them.
And people are wild. People are wild. They'll just say
with the comments.
It's like, who do you think is at the other side of this bracelet? Like, it's obviously someone connected to the brand or someone who's working, and now you're belittling their work, whether it's their life's work or just their day job. Like, you know, and that's the point. It's all about kindness. Let's all take 1 second to recognize and be kind. Keep your thoughts to yourself sometimes. They don't always need to be heard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think that's true. That goes back to the kindness and the spreading, and that's the mission of the brand.
Correct.
And it's like, goes back to if you don't have anything nice to say.
Yeah. It's like,
and so I think if you could like lend some parting advice to the audience on what you want them to know about, I guess you could say how they can do it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your like parting piece of advice for the budding entrepreneur or the continued entrepreneur in the audience?
Stay believing. You know, don't let the naysayers make you stop, because you know I listened to this one incredible podcast, How I Built This. If you guys don't listen, you gotta. I mean, as entrepreneurs, you definitely know about it. But the James Dyson one, the man who invented Dyson. He said that, you know, when they were all in this race to invent the vacuum, the new type of vacuum, there was a bunch of other people in the race with him. And every time he wanted to stop, which there are many times, you reach these roadblocks, and you just want to throw in the towel. Like, I can make more, be less stressed, have a happier, easier life if I just, you know, went and worked somewhere else and took what I learned and brought it there. Because as an entrepreneur, you're valuable. No matter where you go, people will want you. But I know that if I stop, my competitors will keep going. And that's what he said. If I stop, the other people are going to keep going and someone will get there. And vice versa. If I want to stop, they might want to stop. And if they stop, I'll now be out in front. So it's like there's two ways of looking at it that'll just hopefully keep propelling you forward. And it's, if you need others to feel you, sometimes, a little competition never hurt nobody. So long as, you're lifting as you rise and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's just keep on keeping on. It's hard, one foot in front of the next, and one day you wake up, it's 10 years in, you've got a team of 50 people, you're still selling the same product, the same dream, and the same mission. And yet you have, Disney corporate reverse inquiry in your contact form on your website saying, we want to talk about getting these into parks, and we want to talk about getting you the license, and we want to talk about having you set up at Disney Springs, where in one day we did 5x what we do on a great day in one of our retail stores. And it's not nothing. So just trust that you'll get there, and ultimately you will.
And finally, so you said 10 years ago Disney was the dream. What is your dream for the next 10?
Oh my gosh. I just want these bracelets to be so ubiquitous that they are synonymous with kindness. I want the little word to be the Kleenex of tissues, for friendship bracelets. Like it should be, oh, you have a little word on. What is your little word? Already we know that the community that does wear them, if you run into someone like at Starbucks, you'll be, or I should say Dunkin', because that was a recent collab. I'm now a Dunkin' girl. You're running into someone at Dunkin' and you see she's wearing a little word, you're gonna stop her and you're gonna be like, oh my God, you're wearing Little Words Project. What word do you have? I would like that to continue in a really robust way where people see other people wearing the bracelets, and women, men, all are welcome into this community, and they feel like they're a safe place. Like they're not going to be judged by them, and like they're, they can connect and find real community there. Yeah. We're also building out our community driving platforms. That's something that you're heading up, including wellness retreats and these experiences that bring people together IRL and help them connect to foster true community, kindness, sisterhood for all. And then lastly, we did just launch yesterday our newest collection called Little Layers, which is kind of elevated pieces made to layer with your little words. So I'm wearing some of them on my neck. It's a really curated demi-fine collection of sterling silver with 14 karat gold, heavy plating, making them gold for May. And it's like my first foray into like real jewelry, as I say. And I can finally like stop being like, they're these little bracelets. No, I've already stopped that because no one has time to justify their life's work. So yeah, I think it's been very exciting to see the growth trajectory over the past 10 years. It's only going up. I'm blown away by the peak I think that we're on. And we're opening more retail stores, including 3 more this year: Austin, Chicago, Long Island, Mall of America, opening into malls. It's crazy, but it's fun, and I hope to see more of that over the next decade. And maybe one day someone will knock on my door and want to buy the whole damn thing, and I'm going to sell it. Because, everyone's got a price. And I'm excited to be a mom and to do the next thing. More to come, for sure.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Be sure to keep in touch. Just to say, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me here and follow us along at Little Words Project at Adriana Carrig. And I'm always open to answering questions as a female entrepreneur based out of Jersey. I want to help anyone who's doing it. I'm also happy to be a guinea pig for all your products. So let me know.
And she answers pretty much every DM.
I answer every DM like a psycho.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Huge. Look at us going. I know. Yes, who would have thought? Look at us.
Thank you, ladies, so much. We're going to take, yeah, you got it. Oh, push. Hello? There we go. Okay. Thank you, ladies, so much. Adriana, it was lovely hearing how your personal experience has created such a powerful impact. Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Naris, and I'm the Program and Marketing Manager here at the Feliciano Center. As someone who has spent years developing programs to support early-stage entrepreneurs, I know there's one topic that always elicits a strong response, and that is funding, or more appropriately, the lack of funding. Now, we know the statistics are abysmal. Women-owned businesses received just 2% of VC funding in 2022, and that percentage plummets for women of color. Women founders receive smaller loans with higher interest rates than companies with male founders. And these systemic biases that result in these setbacks can seem overwhelming and impossible to overcome. So for today, let's focus on what we can control. Let's discover how we can turn funding fear into fuel. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our panel moderator, Maya Brooks. Maya is an award-winning product manager, educator, speaker, and entrepreneur. She has spent the bulk of her career at the intersection of fintech and edtech, leveraging her product, technical, and operating expertise. Maya is a founder and CEO of Privy Labs, an anti-piracy protocol designed to protect media content from harm, abuse, and misuse. Please join me in welcoming Maya to the stage.
On? I might be on. I am on. Hello? Yes. Hi. Hey everyone. This has been a fantastic day so far, and I am really excited to talk about our next topic, which is going to be money, 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 because I know we all need that money. I'd like to welcome my fantastic panelists to join me on stage. Farnoosh Torabi, the leading personal finance expert, and I'll let her come on up and give her own introduction. Sarah Pena, Director of External Affairs at PSEG. And Paula Machado-Jackler, founder at Aussie. All right. Before we get started, I want to do just a quick poll of the room to kind of see who we have here. Who here is already an entrepreneur? You got something you're working on? Amazing. Who's an aspiring entrepreneur? You're thinking about something, but it's not like right at fruition. Amazing. And who already feels like they have a great relationship with money? Okay. All right, so we got some work to do and lots to talk about. Before we head into our questions, I want to give our panelists a quick opportunity to introduce themselves a little bit further. Panelists, if you can speak just to 15 seconds or so about your background. Farnoosh, I'll start.
Thank you so much. Hello, I'm Farnoosh Torabi. I'm a financial journalist, podcaster, author. My new book, you've all received it. It's called The Healthy State of Panic. And in it, we talk about 9 different fears, including the fear of money and why it can actually be helpful to be afraid sometimes. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, good afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Pena, born and raised in the city of Newark. I am the current... Am I good, guys? Okay. Founder of a nonprofit organization called Boys to Leaders Foundation, which inspires our young men in our communities and surrounding areas, and also director of external affairs for the Northern Territory of PSE&I.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paula Machado-Jackler. I'm the founder of Aussie, an AI-powered financial advisor and coach that helps people get their life together using psychology. So for all of you who didn't raise your hand when we asked if you have a good relationship with your money, just scan the QR code there and get on our wait list, so we'll help you.
Amazing.
Yes, I am. So I know I only have 15 seconds, but I was here 10 years ago. I was a first-year student at the MBA program for Feliciano.
Wow.
And I was trying to figure things out, and hearing all of those women on the panel, I was like, I'll be there. Like, I will also make it there. I will be there one day. And 10 years later, here I am. So, pretty cool.
So, Paula, I'd like for you to be the first person to take this question. We know that money can be a really emotional topic for all people, but especially sometimes for women. Based on some of your own experience, why do you think that is, and how do we kind of broach the topic of money when it feels kind of emotional?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, like money is emotional for everyone. The difference is that men don't like to admit it, right? So money is not emotional for them, but it is. And for women, I think there's the gender stereotype, right? Like women are emotional, women are not rational, women are not good with money. If you're all on TikTok right now, you can all see the girl math trend that is going on, right? But the reality is that our relationship with money is very emotional, and it's rooted on our core beliefs, our thoughts, what you saw growing up, where you were raised, the generational environment that you were raised, right? There's so many things that impact your relationship with money. And it's important for us to actually stop and recognize that, right? I think part of the problem that we have nowadays is that there's this cookie cutter type of advice, right? Like you have to save X amount of money, or you have to ask for more, but people don't really stop to recognize, right? But how do I feel? Like if you were raised in an environment where speaking up was not encouraged, or even if you were punished for speaking up, if somebody's telling you for ask for more, automatically your fear and anxiety is going to be triggered, right? So I think the first step is for you to actually recognize, one, my core beliefs are actually impacting my thoughts, and that's actually impacting my actions, right? And my relationship with money.
Yeah, very well said. I think core beliefs is kind of what we've been addressing all day here today. And so it's really great that you were able to kind of bring that to the forefront. Farnoosh, I'm going to hand this next question to you as our personal finance expert on stage. What are some barriers that you've overcome as you're working to be comfortable with money, overcoming your core beliefs? And was there something specific that triggered your change in thought process?
So this might surprise us because I find that within the personal finance world, when it comes to money, we have a lot of fears. Fear of asking for more, as you said. Fear of not having enough is a big one. I'm not going to have enough to retire. I'm not going to have enough to pay off my debt. I'll never have enough to buy a home. I had the flip side of that enoughness coin fear, which is that I was afraid of wanting too much. Has anyone ever felt that way? Like, yeah, wanting to be too successful. I want to be rich. I actually said that out loud. You know what I mean? I don't think that, and it goes back to how we've been hardwired and how our culture has sort of introduced money to women and sort of pigeonholed us into sort of like, if you're going to deal with money, you're going to deal with how to maybe spend it and budget. But when it comes to investing and building things and creating things and acquiring wealth, I feel like we have been left out of those conversations. And so to be a woman who wanted for that, the wanting of money is not something that women have been allowed to feel as though it is a positive thing. It's not a virtuous thing. You're branded as greedy. You're branded as having your priorities messed up. And so I was afraid, and this is actually interesting because this is not early on in my life. This was actually in my 30s. I'm married, I'm the breadwinner, I have a business, and we have enough. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing some of my colleagues, men, women, earning millions. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But you know what? I feel like I need to be just happy with what I have, because if I push the envelope and I try to make more, it's going to come at a huge price. People aren't going to like me. I'm going to end up lonely. I'm going to end up rejected. I'm going to lose my time and my relationships, because I just thought that it was, again, not a virtuous thing to pursue. People were going to be like, don't you have enough? And I've actually been told that in a negotiation when I asked for more. When I asked for more, second round of negotiation, I had worked with this company. I had delivered on all cylinders. And so now we're renegotiating, which means they like me and they want me. So like, you should ask for more. This is the time. This is your moment. And they said, don't you have enough? aren't you making enough? And I said, not for me, maybe for you. And I also said, and I quote, and I was working through an agent, and I said, can you please go back to this person? And it was a woman, which, not to genderize it, but I think sometimes we are our biggest, because again, we haven't been invited to a seat at the table. If one woman gets the seat, we think that's the only seat. So we're gonna fight for that, and we're gonna fight each other for that. And I said, can you please go back to her and say that, are you sure you wanna say that out loud to a woman? You know what I mean? Like, and check yourself when you say these things. So I got the money, but I was afraid that still I had this fear. I was like, I just think it's gonna, and so what I talk about in my book, A Healthy State of Panic, is that when you have a fear that arrives in your life, and I go through different kinds of fears, and this was a fear of money, and specifically the fear of wanting for too much of it, or too much of it, I use air quotes. I was afraid legitimately that trying to pursue more money will come at a cost of time, and maybe, I was a mom, I had a husband, I wanted to protect these relationships. You just mentioned like running a startup like 24/7. That is not a small thing. That is a choice. And you have to have a support system around that. And so I said, is there a world where I could maybe make more money while honoring this fear to protect my time, to protect my relationships? Yes, but it's the third way. It's not maybe the way everyone else does it. You have to come up with your own blueprint. And then I did. And then I did make more money. And then I owned it. I had a problem with wanting power too. That was not something that I felt, again, was like calling my name, because I had a weird definition of power. We should check our definitions, right? There's a lot of ways to define power. I was kind of looking at it as like the power to control, because don't you want money? You get more power. Well, no, I don't want that, right? I want to, but power to uplift, power to support. This is my love language. And once I kind of rewrote that narrative for myself and redefined power for myself and how money could be a tool to get that really good power, I became my biggest advocate for making more. And it was a journey. It wasn't overnight, but it was a realization of like, I am telling myself stories that are not true. And this fear is actually just an inherited fear, right? That I've gotten from the world around me. And there can be a better way.
Yeah. And I think, Farnoosh, something that you really hit on was kind of having a support network around you that was going to support the breaking down of those fears.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to throw this next question to Sarah to talk a little bit about support and kind of how we can use our support network to break down our barriers about asking for money, about wanting more, about, kind of finding the right support network to support us. It seems sometimes like men have some built-in networks that they can usually rely on, and women have a harder time sometimes building those networks, finding them externally or internally. So, Sarah, can you speak a little bit about asking for money, finding a support network?
So that's a great question. Finding that support network is really important, right, in everything that we do, even in life. But we have to understand that there's different circles. We have to maintain that inner circle that we know knows everything about us from early on, right? College years, right? That sorority sis, that soror you have that knows everything. And then you have your other circle, right? That you can tell everything to in the world, no judgment, they just yes you to death and blah, 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 and blah, 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 right? You have these different circles as you go through life. But it's really identifying and becoming aware and being intentional about who you want in your circle now. Now it's no longer, I'm going to go here, there. No, now you're being intentional. So if I have a business, or I'll use my nonprofit, right? I need money. I need money to start doing the work, the great work that I want to do. All this passion is not going to pay for itself. And so surrounding myself with like-minded people that had done it better than I want to do it, that, the level that I want to get to, those large corporations, and then those that were also starting up. How were they getting their funding? So when Cindy talked about the open-mindedness today, let's remain open-minded in every space that we walk into. We don't know it all. I have a nonprofit that just is celebrating 10 years as well. And when I started, it had $0, right? $0, but it was relationships that I reached out to in my network, and I the fear of being rejected was holding me back so long that I finally said, what's the worst thing that they can say? No? So I'm right back where I started? Or I'll try to open another door, right? So really looking into my network, but sitting still for a minute. Sometimes we're so impatient and sit still with it for a minute and it will come, right? The ideas will come, the vision will come, like she talked about earlier. It just comes, oh yeah, that person I haven't talked to them in a while, but they said if I ever needed anything, I can call them. Well, guess what? You shouldn't say that because we are going to reach out. I'm very intentional about that. If I say, listen, call me whenever you need anything, I'm conscious of that. That she may call me one day, right? And so really honoring your word, and that's what I had. I had built a relationship in a circle within my community that believed in what I was passionate about, the messaging I was getting out there, and they wanted to invest. Yeah, I had $0. But people say, you know what, I want to help her out. I want to do this. Hey, $10, $5, your friends. Oh, you really believe in me? You like to hang out with me to have drinks that we spend $400 a card note on, but you can give me $200 of that for a scholarship for a young man and we can change his life. So that fear, get over it. We have to get over it. I know it's easier said than done. I was very shy in high school. People in high school will see me today and say, that is not the same Sarah, because I got away from that fear of rejection, of not being liked by everyone. I'm not going to be liked by everyone. And I just came into that space maybe 5 or 7 years ago. All my life, I just wanted to be accepted. And that was also something else that we battle with as we're asking for money, right? That fear of rejection. Go into your inner circle, see who's there, but get away from that fear, which holds us back on so many levels. And not being afraid to share what your vision and what you're passionate about and what your business is about.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something because I am from Brazil. So I'm a Brazilian immigrant and I'm Black and I'm a woman. So I check all of the boxes, right? And I think it's time for us to actually redefine friends and family. Mm-hmm. Because I'm in tech and I'm launching like a tech venture. So people tell me all the time, like, do a friends and family round. Dude, my family is in Rio, Brazil. I'm my parents' retirement plan. Like, I'm not doing a friends and family round. But it took me a while to actually understand, okay, so what does that mean? I get to define what friends and family mean. I get to redefine who I'm reaching out for funding. So yeah, I can't reach out to my dad and ask him for money, but I have people, right, as Sarah mentioned, who has heard my idea, who has told me that I can reach out to them. And even if they don't have the money and they can't invest, they can facilitate introductions, right? Yeah. So next time somebody says friends and family and you're kind of like, no, but I don't have anyone in my network who can give me money, they can give you the support, they can facilitate introductions, and if they have volunteered to help, take them up on their offer. Yeah. And the other thing too, if you don't ask for money, most likely you're not gonna get it. Mm-hmm.
And if you're not afraid, you're not asking for enough. Just want to add that too.
Right.
If you're going in and you're so cool as a cucumber because I'm asking for $10, you're gonna get that $10. That's not a win. You know, you got to get to the point where you're like, I'm gonna ask for 20, but I don't know. But you think maybe there is a 10% chance you should ask. It's a negotiation. What you ask for is not a full stop yes or no. It's like a okay, let's discuss it. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I think I wish I had known sooner, is that I was too afraid to push the envelope because I thought it would just dead end me. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember that a negotiation is just that. It's a two-way street. And the other person is expecting a conversation, not like a final offer, a final ask right away. So let that encourage you to push the envelope. And my friend Alexandra Carter, she wrote the book Ask for More. She's a renowned negotiation expert. She says if you're not feeling the fear when you're asking for more, you're not doing it right.
100%. I'd love actually for all of us to get a bit tactical for a second and like actually throw out some of our favorite phrases to say when you're asking for money. I'll give everyone 30 seconds to think about it. I'll throw out mine because I've been an entrepreneur that asked for and raised some money, and I've also coached many entrepreneurs on raising money. And when we get to the making the ask slide, like let's say at the end of a pitch deck or a presentation, my favorite thing to usually say is, we're raising $500,000 for XYZ. I'd love for you to be a part of this opportunity. Because it is an opportunity. You're not asking, right? You are offering them something because you are bringing something valuable to the table. And when you hear pushback on some kind of thing, I'm going to give you something that I learned at an accelerator program called Techstars, which is the second someone pushes back on a reason, let's say they are not going to give you the money, your goal is to figure out, is this a real reason or is this like a BS reason because they just want to move on? If they want to move on, let them. If it's a BS reason, let's try to get that out of the person. So someone might say to you, well, no, because I just don't really believe in the business model. I'm not seeing enough. You say, okay, I hear that you have some doubts about our business model. We could sit together and work through that for about an hour and maybe, come up with something different. Would that change your mindset? And throw it to them, lob it to them, see if that will change their mindset. And sometimes that will get you a little bit closer to, are they interested actually in this business and this is just a roadblock? Or are they just kind of BSing me and they want to move on? So that is my tactic. I'll throw to our panelists. Paula, what do you say?
Yeah, so during my fundraising process, I don't like walking into situations or conversations that I don't feel prepared. So what I did, I talked to all of my vendors, because let me take a step back. I launched Aussie in 2021 when the market was insane. Nobody was raising anything. So I decided to self-fund. So I'm going to put a little bit of money into this, and then once I start gaining traction and I have a proof of concept, I'm going to reach out and talk to investors. So during that process, it was very crazy. I had my vendors and I talked to them and I said, can you let me know how much it's gonna cost to build X for the next 18 months? So when I started talking to investors, I actually knew exactly how much money I needed. And that made the conversation not much easier, that's a lie, less difficult, let's put it that way. It was not easy at all. But at least when they asked me questions, I could answer their questions. And I'm a non-technical founder trying to launch an artificial intelligence app. So you can imagine that it was a lot of questions, right? So I think the preparation piece really helped facilitate those conversations, and also the respect, right? They could see that I had done my homework. They could see that even people say your forecast is never going to be exactly what you did, but at least they could see that I had gone through the trouble of having something that it's more or less accurate, and I felt more confident walking in. And I think the confidence piece, at least for me, makes a difference, right? I am terrified, I am anxious, but at least I trust that I have prepared myself as much as I can. Right? And then it's almost give it to God. I did everything that I could. I'm going to walk in there, I'm going to deliver it, and I'm going to ask for exactly what I know is what I need. Right? And to your point, it's never easy. It's never comfortable. I usually, when I go talk to VCs, I'm terrified, I'm sweating. I keep my hands on my knees because if I don't, I'll be talking with my hands. It's not a comfortable conversation to have, but it's worth it and it's needed because I am not getting a second mortgage on my house to fund this thing, right?
I think for me in the nonprofit world, I always say this, nonprofits are a business. They really are. And a lot of people, in my previous career, I was funding nonprofits throughout the state of New Jersey. And it was amazing to see and hear how they were so stagnant. They were not adapting to the changes. They were closing. And when COVID hit, they were done. And they were in business for 30 years, providing social services in their communities. And so I learned very quickly, nonprofits, you have to treat them as a business. But also, in my case, it was about passion. It was about identifying a gap in my community and doing something about it to meet the need that was happening. So when I walk into a room or I want to get money from X, Y, and Z to fund something or a scholarship, it's really about explaining the benefit to you, the reward that you're going to feel that you're contributing to a young man's life. And sometimes that's also how you get board members. Board members volunteer their skill set, their times, their network. They share their networks because they believe in your vision and in the passion in the work that you do. So for me, it's always about, let me tell you how you can go home and sleep better because you have all this money and you don't know what to do with it, but I'm gonna help you out. And as a matter of fact, I have friends that are also doing great work because you need to make sure that you're opening opportunities for those that are with you as well. It's not only about me, because if I do well, then we do well and we impact our communities. And I'm really passionate about community building. It's important, whether in economics, social justice, anything that's related to community, it's important. Environmental justice, now that I'm over at FCE&I, right? It's a whole nother world. And so I want to make sure that I'm educating you, the investor, on the benefits that you'll have when you invest in us and in the future generation of leaders, right?
And just to piggyback off of what you said, I've interviewed a lot of founders on my podcast, and I'll never forget one founder who has scaled. It's a credit company, a credit building company for people who are new to this country. Establishing credit is very difficult, and so he sort of found this very underserved market. And I said, when you're in the room and you're asking for money because you raise a lot, there's several rounds, what's the number one tip? And he said, you have to anticipate the rejection. You have to know what they're the holes, you have to know them better than the person on the other side of the table, and be upfront about it. Mm-hmm. Don't wait for them to ask you, but how do you know there's a market for this? Or do you have, do you have proof of concept? Like, anticipate the rejection and call it out immediately. Mm-hmm. And so, it's another way of delivering the value proposition, but it's showing that not only are you so prepared, but you've really thought about the other person's POV. And that's in any room. That's whether you're asking for a raise at work or you're looking for funding for your business. It's important to know what the other person's needs are and where their hesitations may lie, mm-hmm. and being very proactive about it. I think the other thing too is silence. Sometimes we tend to try to fill the silence with more explaining, and I think that doesn't always benefit us. Right. Sometimes the silence is where the magic happens, and someone will fill the gap. Let it be the other person, right? I think that we put the pressure too much on ourselves to always keep the conversation going.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to turn it to the audience to keep the conversation going and see if we have any questions for our panelists here. Any questions on funding, money, specific or loose as you like to be? Yes. So question is on where to find mission-driven angel investors who are looking for equity in the company and a part of the long-term vision.
There's this website called Switch. It's focused on female founders, but also on female angel investors. I think that's a good starting point for you to find angel investors. But I would also say, like, in New York City, I'm not too familiar with events here in New Jersey for angel investing, but I would say in New York City, you can find a lot of angel investing groups and events. And I would say you have to get out there and start networking and talking to people and saying, I would like to get to know angel investors who are interested in X, like whatever your company does. And in my personal experience, whenever I'm meeting investors, I never ask right away. I never pitch my company and say like, I'm raising whatever. I try to build the relationship first. So most of the investors that I have right now all lined up came from going to events in New York City and saying, I am launching a financial psychology app. It's at the intersection of fintech and mental health. Who's interested in this? And people just started introducing me to other people. But usually when I'm hanging out, I never ask like point blank if people are interested in my business. So that's what I would do. Check, switch, and start going to events with angel investors and asking for introductions.
Let's take one more. Yeah.
Hi there. First of all, prazer te conhecer. I'm also Brazilian. I don't think I need that. Thank you, though. I'm the founder and CEO of Brazilian Made Hot Sauce. I just want to say thank you all for everything you had to say. My biggest question for you is, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but how do you reconcile the cultural situation? Because it's like the passion with the pressure sometimes makes for a crazy, upstairs area. I feel like sometimes I don't have the luxury to pursue like what I'm trying to do for just the sake of wanting to do it for myself, because I feel like I have so many people to take care of, so many people I want to bring along with me. So I guess I'm just wondering, in your experience, how you manage that part. And I'm not from a fabulous place like Rio, but I'm from Montclair, which is like, nowhere. So I want to go somewhere and be somebody, and it's kind of hard when you come from that kind of background. So just trying to figure it out.
Can I ask you a question though? Like, what specifically is the struggle? Is it financial? Is it the wanting to be someone who is exponentially richer, more successful than what you?
It's everything.
All of that.
Sometimes it feels a little taboo to want to like have the dreams that I have sometimes, because I feel like I was just lucky to make it out of there. And sometimes
And you were. And luck is okay. We've all had luck.
So.
Why do we think luck is like something to be ashamed of? Rich people and poor people and everyone in the middle, we all have luck, and it's good, bad luck, right? Like luck is just a part of life. And I think that needs to be more of your narrative. Let's be honest about the luck that we've had, right? So then we don't just think someone went from 0 to 100 and, like I'm here because literally one man gave my father a visa in 1979. Otherwise I'd be in Iran wearing a hijab and maybe not even alive. So, you know what I mean? Like this is, and you mentioned this in your earlier, like you have to know where you come from. Like we need to talk about that. That's a strength for you. Like, I want you to be proud of that. And that luck is like, now that you know that you're capable of receiving that luck, like, I also think you can create luck. So, like, I just want to give you that to start with, because I think like that, just stop that. Like, that's not helpful.
So, I fully understand you. And I forgot to mention something here, and I apologize for kind of like misleading people. I have a full-time job. I lead marketing for a blockchain company. So usually I'm working about 17-hour days. Because as I mentioned, I am my parents' retirement plan, and I mean that, right? Like if I don't send money home, my parents won't survive. And I cannot take the risk of putting all of my eggs in one single basket. So I feel you. What I would tell you is do whatever it takes to get where you want to go. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. And you're going to get there.
third way, whatever it takes. I'd like to.
That is actually the perfect segue into our final keynote speaker. So huge round of applause for this panel. Thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your stories. Thank you. I am so excited to introduce our final keynote speaker. Cynthia and I have known each other for years, and when I joined the Montclair State University team, she was the first person I thought of to come aboard to add to this outstanding lineup. Cynthia is an award-winning career and leadership coach, speaker, and author of Don't Stay in Your Lane, The Career Change Guide for Women of Color. At NYU trained lawyer turned career coach, she founded her company, Embrace Change, to get women of color and people of color the money, power, and respect they deserve. Cynthia has been featured in The Atlantic, on NBC, CBS, and NPR. She shared a virtual stage with Magic Johnson as a LinkedIn top voice for job search and career. Cynthia is a proud introvert, a classic middle child, and an unapologetic Rottweiler enthusiast. Please welcome Cynthia Pong.
Thank you. Now we see everyone who's ready to win that prize at the end, right? The diehards, I love it. What's happened? I am an unlikely entrepreneur. You could even say I'm an accidental one. There's no strong tradition of business in my family. I'm a first-gen business owner. Any first-gens in here? Yes, shout out to all you. Clap it up. My parents actually ask me all the time. They're lifelong teachers. They're like, Cynthia, how did you learn how to run your business? They're genuinely confused, and rightfully so. I have no formal training in business, no MBA. I didn't do any of these incubators or accelerators. Before I started my business, I was a public service lawyer whose only goal had ever been to become a public defender. A very specific kind of lawyer, which I achieved. But life clearly had something else in store for me. Because after working toward that singular goal for a decade, it became painfully and abundantly clear to me that I needed to reinvent my career from scratch. Or so it felt. Like so many women entrepreneurs, and like we've heard today, my journey in business has been a roller coaster of highs and lows. And still, even as an unlikely entrepreneur, I built my tiny business, Embrace Change, into an internationally recognized career coaching firm and a brand, a mission-driven company that is out here doing things that no other business of our size is doing. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. By the way, everything that I share here today applies equally to folks in salaried roles. I want that to be clear, because everything that I'm going to share, we all need to be embodying that, whether we are a full-time entrepreneur, a side hustler, an intrapreneur, a leader in your company, starting out in your career. All of it applies. So let me tell you how I got here. I grew up in the early 80s in a middle-class immigrant household in Delaware. So shout out Mid-Atlantic. And you could say it was like a typical kind of suburban upbringing, and really it was pretty sheltered. It wasn't until I went to college and I took a bunch of courses on the criminal legal system that I learned about mass incarceration and how intrinsically racist our systems are for state surveillance, policing, the courts, and prisons. Really opened my eyes, and it lit a fire inside me, and I realized that what I was learning about was activating my values. So I decided I wanted to be a public defender. I wanted to be one of those lawyers that folks get assigned to when they're arrested for a crime and they don't have enough money to pay for their own private lawyer. And I write about this in my book, Don't Stay in Your Lane, but I didn't want to be a public defender because I wanted any old law job. I definitely didn't want to be a public defender because I couldn't get a corporate law job. I actually had an offer in hand at the time to start at a big law firm, which the starting salary at the time was 4, and it pains me to tell you this, it was 4 times the starting salary that I actually started out with as a public defender. That's right, oof. That was my parents' reaction as well. Much to their dismay, I went for that and I became a public defender because I wanted to be part of the resistance of our systems of racism and oppression in this country. Because that's my values. Social justice, racial justice, liberation. So I led with these values as I went to law school, as I slogged through law school, graduated law school, and then got my job at Legal Aid in the Bronx. Yay. And we will get back to how values are still alive and well and embrace change today, but for now, I actually have a question for you. So, and I want you to write this down. You all already know I come from a family of teachers. So take out your phone or whatever you have, pen and paper, that's cool. I got a question for you. This will be your homework. The question is, what are my values? What are the principles, the beliefs, the ideals that are important to me? What do I stand for? Second question. How am I honoring my values in my business journey? And it's okay if you're not right now. How might you start honoring your values? How could you center them more? As women entrepreneurs, it is crucial that we lead with our values in our whole self entrepreneurial journey. Okay, as you all diligently typing. Back to my story, fast forward, I'm a public defender in the Bronx, awesome. And it started out amazing, it really did. Like, sure, I was freaked out every second of every day of messing up, and the learning curve was steep AF, but I was part of this ragtag, tight-knit, anti-authoritarian community at work that I loved. And I was doing the work that I wanted to be doing, living the dream. And just like everything else in life, that would change. Because about 3-4 years into the job, I started burning out and bad. It took me 3 more years and a boatload of therapy. Shout out to any therapists in the house. I mean, seriously. So much therapy to realize that the job just wasn't for me. I was constantly trying to fit myself into this mold that didn't fit me because it didn't fit my whole self. So I'm working there, I'm feeling this burnout, and the reason that the job wasn't fitting my whole self largely had to do with my idiosyncrasies, of which I have many, but I'm just going to tell you about one today that was particularly challenged by being a public defender, and this was the one that actually was instrumental in activating this major, massive turning point in my career. That is that I am an empathic introvert. So, being someone who's an empath, I feel and I sense people's feelings and emotions very strongly, right? Like, cool, great, that's a superpower, really. And when your job involves having up to 130 clients' cases at a time, when your job involves watching this revolving door of your clients, and for me, it was Black and Latinx men from the Bronx, young and old, in and out, in and out, in and out of jail every single day. When you do have clients who are in jail, and many of whom are innocent, it's a lot of pain and trauma on a daily basis, times 130. Plus, being an introvert, I had to be in court all the time. And that's cool and fine. But when you're in court, not only is there that performative aspect to it, like you always got to be on, it's also just this reality where people are constantly interrupting you and your thoughts every hour of every day. The judge, the DA, the court staff, other lawyers, or clients, their families, other people's clients. So I ended up ending my days on the bus home, on the BX6 bus home, just feeling beyond completely drained like my mind had been shattered into a million pieces every day. I was running on fumes and I was burning out fast. So just as my values drove me into the law, it was my idiosyncrasies that drove me out. And they're also what led me to build my business the way that I did. So we are a team that is full of empathic introverts who are deeply intuitive and sensitive. We deliver better services that way. And it's our superpower that allows us to support our clients to maximum transformation and growth, which benefits not only them, but their teams, their companies, their businesses, and all of our communities. And we're a company that is happily and fully remote. Hashtag introverts unite separately. So, as a room that is full of powerhouse women, we have so many unique and beautiful aspects, traits, quirks, all these things that make up our multifaceted personalities and our whole selves. And all too often, society is like making us want to hide them, feel shame about them, or to just chop them off so that we can fit into some kind of a mold. And I say no. We need to lead with our idiosyncrasies. So, more questions for you. Take your phones and your pen and paper back out. You know the drill. The question is, what are my idiosyncrasies? What are the things that make me unique? What are my quirks? What's the stuff that makes me always feel like the odd one out in my friend group? Those are the things. Second question. How can I leverage my idiosyncrasies to make my business even stronger, more unique, and more impactful? Because our idiosyncrasies are our special sauce. And for my fellow business nerds out here, there are unique value proposition. There are differentiating factors, and there are competitive edge, which is crucial in business. So lead with your idiosyncrasies in your whole self entrepreneurial journey. All right, so now I wish I had all the time in the world to tell you about all the nitty-gritty ups and downs of my business journey in the beginning. It was a lot of good, bad, and ugly, I'll tell you that. As amazing as everything looks and feels and is today, it did not start that way. I failed forward many, many times in my business in the beginning. And it was only after failing forward a bunch of times that I landed on the career coaching. And the reason I landed there was a beautiful, messy combination of both my values and my idiosyncrasies. Because I missed working with clients one-on-one, just didn't want 130 of them at a time. And I still wanted to fight against oppressive systems, but in a way that honored my whole self. So I threw that spaghetti at the wall. I threw that career coaching spaghetti at the wall, and I posted on social media like, hey, I'm thinking of taking on a few individual coaching clients. First session is free, sign up here if you're interested. And I got 4 signups, 2 of whom became paid clients, 1 of whom is still a client to this day, 7, 8 years later. So don't sleep on those long-term relationships and anchor clients, folks. So you can see how there's already some early momentum there for sure, right? But the real game-changing moment, and when things actually really took off in the coaching in my business, was when I realized and I learned I needed to intentionally lean into my identities. So I started that career coaching just like throwing it out there, right? Total experiment. I would have coached anyone who wanted to buy, right? Like it was just whoever wanted to pay for this, I'm here. But I was paying attention from day one as I grew the career coaching, who was coming to me and who did I enjoy working with the most? And that answer was clear as day. It was women of color, because that's my identities. So I niched down early and fast, and I just put it out there point blank. I am a career coach for women of color. And please know that back then, there were a lot of haters who came out and they were like, wait, you only coach women of color? How are you ever gonna find enough clients? Oh, yeah, and I really don't have enough time to talk about how microaggressive that question is. I will simply say that we are a team of 18 women of color and people of color specialists out here changing lives every single week. And we have had to take wait lists more times than I can remember because yes, there is that much demand and we have an audience. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have an audience of over 200K. So thank you very much. We're doing fine. So now you see how actually leaning into my identities quite intentionally, that was the key to my business success. Because our clients' ability to see themselves reflected in our coaches, that's our golden ticket. All right, so I know I already threw a couple of really big, lofty questions at you, and don't worry, I have one more set. But before I do, two things. One, I want to gift you a tool. It's a tool that I designed that's going to help you hone in on your core values, because I know out of the three, that one might feel the squishiest, the most high pressure, the most confusing and challenging. So don't worry, I got you. And number two, the whole reason that we're all here today, and the reason that I'm specifically here sharing part of my story, is to empower each and every one of you to go out and build the extraordinary life, career, and business that you deserve. So I can't give you a lot of time for this, but I want you to take out your phones again. Go to the QR code that's on this screen on either side. And if the QR code doesn't work, just give me a hand and I can tell you the HTML. Go there. In that first little box, I want you to type values and then answer a couple of smiley face questions about today, because it is imperative that we hear directly from you so that it's not just for me, it's for everyone that was involved in putting today together, so that we can continue this mission of going out here to empower more women to lead with their whole selves. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that, and I'll give you your final questions. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, the most important part, at the end, you want to click that button that says get your bonus, and then download that sucker, because there's a really good freebie that has a lot of powerful exercises in it, in addition to the values piece. Few more seconds. Okay, so here's your final questions for today. What are my identities? Who am I as a multifaceted person? And what have been my lived experiences that have forged me into who I am today? Last question. How can I center my identities more so that I can be an even more effective leader both in my business and my communities? Embracing your whole self is going to make you unstoppable. And so this is why we must lead with our identities in our whole self entrepreneurial journey. So there you have it. Now you have heard how I leveraged my values, my idiosyncrasies, and my identities to weave the fabric of my unlikely entrepreneurial journey. These are the things that took me from a place of burnout and confusion and disappointment to being a boss and running a business that I freaking love. And I wish that for each and every one of you here today, too. So let your values guide your decisions and connect you to the right people and the right opportunities. Let your idiosyncrasies lead you to creative solutions that our communities actually need. Let your identities allow other women who may be struggling and on the brink of despair and giving up, let them see themselves reflected in you so that they too can strive for another day. Everything that you need for your entrepreneurial journey is already inside of you if you embrace your whole self, because that is what the world actually needs. Thank you all so much. You've been amazing.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was amazing. And I know we've all, we've been here for a couple hours, so we're going to wrap this up. But before we go, we just have 2 pieces of recognition we want to give out to our biggest supporters here at the FCE&I. So our first award that we want to give out quickly is our Champion Award. And this Champion Award is presented by Cross River Bank, one of our sponsors. So this award recognizes a successful business owner and champion of entrepreneurship in our community. This person has continuously shared her knowledge and expertise with our students and community entrepreneurs. And through her generous spirit, she's been instrumental in expanding our impact and reach. We are so grateful for her never-ending support, positivity, and willingness to champion our center, our students, and our initiatives. Please join me in congratulating the recipient of our Champion Award, Jessica Marek, founder of Red Root Marketing. Truly the best, the best, the best. Thank you so much.
I'm really honored.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jess. You're the best. And our second award is our Ally Award. This award recognizes a person who's leveraged their success and expertise to support and accelerate entrepreneurs in underserved communities. This person is a proud MSU alum who has paved his own pathway to being a very successful entrepreneur. And despite all of his success and a very packed calendar, he has continuously granted us unlimited access to his network, his resources, his knowledge, and most importantly, as he will tell you, his time. He is a tireless ally in helping our entrepreneurs find their own path to profit. So please join me in congratulating the recipient of our Ally Award, Lynn Herrick of Herrick Consulting. There we go. Let's stand over here for the picture. Everybody loves Lynn. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you very, very much.
And lastly, we also want to give a special heartfelt thank you to the person who is responsible for getting this initiative off the ground 10 years ago and growing it into what it is today, Sharon Waters. Come on up here. Sharon is a dedicated advocate for women entrepreneurs, and we want to show her our deepest gratitude. So thank you, everybody. Now we are going to get to our our moment you've all been waiting for, the basket. All right. So this giveaway now is valued at $250 and includes gift cards from items from various women-owned businesses in Montclair. Make sure you check out all of these places. We have Cornerstone Montclair, Gift Bar, Java Love, and Son, Dolly Moo, and Howl. Check them out. All right, here we go. Just so everyone sees I'm not cheating or showing favorites. Well, I'll take the one that jumped out at me. We have 515105. Yay! All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors, Cross River Bank, the NJEDA, Blue Foundry Bank, Next Gen Event Company, and Ertl Employment Law. Thank you for being here today. And thank you to Mimi, our benefactor, who I don't think is here anymore. And please stay for some networking in the lobby. I think Cindy was going to, maybe she can't, but just make sure you network in the lobby. We're here. We're going to stay here. No sign. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for being here. I've been told that the refreshments are in this room if anyone wants to go in there. Refreshments in this room. Thank you.
Good job, as always.
Oh, thank you.
You're amazing. You really are amazing. This is so wonderful. Who is their age? Right?
Oh, I'm going to come down.
Did I do it right?